Hello everybody, this is the BG, and today we're going to talk about how to make Peameal bacon. If you're an American watching this video and you thought, I've never heard of Peameal bacon, well, here's a little history lesson. Canadians eat Peameal bacon, and Americans eat Canadian bacon. The only difference between the two of them is that Canadian bacon is smoked, and then Peameal bacon is not smoked. One of the other differences is that Canadian bacon can either be wet cured or dry cured, where every recipe I've ever seen for Peameal bacon has it as a wet brine. I apologize to all the Canadians out there, but that's going to be one of the first changes to this recipe that I suggest, is doing a dry cure versus a wet brine. I'll spare the rant for this video, but if you go to SeriousEats.com, they have an article under their Food Lab tab called The Truth About Brining Turkey. Excellent discussion on the differences between wet brining and dry brining. I would recommend everybody to take a look at that. That changed my entire worldview on brining, several years ago for doing turkeys, and then it expanded on to just everything with meat related. I don't wet brine anything anymore, only dry brine. The other thing that I wanted to bring up in this video, since it was the last of the ham and bacon curing series, was to discuss the differences between nitrites and nitrates. If you're looking at other videos on YouTube or just walking around the grocery store, you'll see all kinds of labeling about nitrites, nitrates, nitrate-free, uncured, things like that. But it all comes down to nitrites are used for things that are being cured in a short period of time, under 4 weeks, and then nitrates are used for products that need to be cured for longer than 4 weeks. All the videos that we have are only using nitrites, which would be called pink salt or Prague powder number 1 or Instacure number 1. But if you were making something that required a longer cure time, like a country ham or a salami, then you need to use the Instacure number 2 or Prague powder number 2, which has nitrates in it. I'd recommend everybody going to our new friends, Two Guys in a Cooler, which already have several videos discussing the differences between nitrates and nitrites, and they do a far better job than I could have ever have.
Here's what you'll need to make Peameal bacon. You'll need a pork loin. This is about 4 to 5 pounds. You'll also need Morton's kosher salt, organic dark brown sugar, Prague powder number 1, a bag of dried split peas, a mixing bowl, a digital scale, medium aluminum pans, plastic wrap, plastic gloves, a vacuum sealer and VacMaster sealing bags, and a blender. A Vitamix works wonders. I think BG wants to be buried with his.
With the prerequisites out of the way, let's start talking about how do you actually make Peameal bacon. For this, I'm going to be using my ham cure recipe, which has equal parts salt and sugar. If you want this to be a little saltier, you can use my bacon cure recipe, which actually has twice as much salt as it does sugar, but I prefer it to be more of like a hammy product than a bacon product. So like what we showed in the ham videos, what I'm going to do here is weigh out the cure ingredients. For 10 pounds of meat, I'm going to be using 14.51 grams of pink salt or Prague powder number 1 or Instacure number 1, along with 102 grams of kosher salt and 102 grams of dark brown sugar. I prefer to use the organic dark brown sugar. I feel like it flows better and it binds better with the mixture to get a more even ratio of that pink salt throughout all of the cure mixture. I wanted to add that I think this is a great product to start with if this is your first foray into charcuterie, because it's so simple. It doesn't require any special equipment. I'm not smoking this, so I don't need a smoker, and I don't need it to have perfect slices on it like I want on my bacon, so you don't need a meat slicer either. And since this isn't smoked, you can actually get more creative with the cure mixture if you wanted to. So if you like clove, you can add that to it. If you wanted to add pepper, you could add that. If you want it to be sweeter, you can add other sugars to it, maple syrup, honey, things like that. You could also make it saltier. It's up to you on how creative you want to get with the recipe. I would recommend just starting with the base salt and sugar cure, but after the first time you make it, if you want to start adding other flavors, go wild with it. The next step is preparing the pork loin to get ready for the cure. Since Canadian bacon traditionally does not have any of the fat or silver skin or anything on it, that's what you need to do to a whole pork loin. Start cutting it to remove all of the fat, all of the skin, everything off of it. You just want the clean, smooth muscle on it left over. The only decision you have to make as far as prepping the pork loin is figuring out just how pretty you want it to look. I recommend removing all of the fat and the silver skin, but as you can see on the skinnier side of the pork loin, the fat layer will actually dive into the darker meat portion of the loin, and that's what's happening as you go to the tail end of the animal. But if you wanted it to be a completely consistent product, I would recommend following the fat layer into that skinny side and then removing the darker meat. But for me, I want to get better yield on this product, and so I'm basically removing the fat layer until it meets the point where it starts going into the middle of the pork loin and just making it level. The last step, once you have all of the exterior of the pork loin cleaned up, is to cut it into the size chunks that you want. This pork loin as a whole weighs about 8 pounds, give or take a little bit. And so I'm going to cut it up into 4 pieces because I want the end product to be between 1.5 pounds and 2 pounds. The next step is to now put the meat into cure. So for this, like we showed in the other ham videos, I'm going to be weighing the meat out to figure out what the total weight is of the chunks of meat I'm going to put into a single vacuum bag. And then I need to figure out how much cure mixture goes in with that amount of meat. So to maintain a 200 parts per million cure ratio for the sodium nitrite, I need to be adding 21.86 grams of cure mixture for every pound of meat that I'm going to be curing. So in this case, I have 4.44 pounds of pork loin. If I multiply that by 21.86, I get to 97 grams of cure mixture needed for this entire pan of meat. I'm always going to go 1 to 2 grams over that, and so in this case I'm weighing out 99 grams of cure mixture. But after I get that weighed out, I'm going to make a vacuum sealed bag that's large enough to hold the 4 pieces of pork loin in it, seal one end, flip over the edge of the other side, put the pieces of meat in, pour in the cure mixture, shake and bake it, and then vacuum seal it. I go into a much longer discussion of why we're vacuum sealing these products, but I feel like it makes a better end result for these things, and it's easier to cure in the refrigerator because it requires less work by you to deal with it. If you just simply put the cure mixture on the meat and then put it in a bag or put it on a sheet or a pan or something like that, you'd have to go in periodically throughout the week to mess with it, turn it over, keep moving it. With the bags vacuum sealed and ready to put in the refrigerator, let's talk about how long does it actually need to cure for. So with the sodium nitrite, it takes 7 days for it to penetrate the meat by 1 inch. And so if your meat is 2 inches thick, it'll take 7 days for the cure to penetrate from both sides of that chunk of meat. Since this pork loin is 2 inches or less, I need to put this in the refrigerator for 7 days. If it was thicker than that, like if it was 3 inches thick, then you would need to put it in for a week and a half. But in this case, we're going to stick to 7 days. The only thing that I do at the midweek point is actually take all the meat out and just check it visually. I'll at least turn it over and then give it a little bit of massage. But that's all you need to do. Since it's under vacuum, the meat juices will kind of flow on their own and it'll self-regulate within the bag as far as getting in all the salt and sugar spread evenly throughout the meat. I also wanted to bring up one point as far as the temperature of the refrigerator that I didn't bring up in the other videos, is the fact that this cure has an optimal temperature of 38 degrees. So if you're putting this meat in a refrigerator that's riding really low, like closer to 32 degrees, it's going to take longer for the cure to penetrate the meat. And if it's above 40 degrees, you're going to start moving into an unsafe territory and you might want to look at getting a new refrigerator. After the pieces of meat have been in cure for a week, you're going to be taking them out of the fridge, cut them out of their bag, put them in your sink, fill up the sink, get them rinsed off completely, and then patted dry. The final step to make this Peameal bacon is traditionally the reason why it is called Peameal bacon is because you would take split peas, grind them down, and then use that as a coating on the outside of the meat. In modern times, what you would actually see is not pea meal, you would use cornmeal as the standard for how people make pea meal right now. But I'm a traditionalist and I'm actually going to grind up some split peas, turn them into a powder, and use that as my coating. And so that brings us to the last step. Take your dried off pieces of the cured pork loin, roll them in the pea meal powder, or cornmeal if you don't want to do the pea meal, and you are ready to go. With the meat coated, it is ready to put into a vacuum sealed bag, and that way we can freeze it. So please look at other videos about making ham or bacon, and also how to use a vacuum sealer. I'm just making a bag large enough for this chunk of meat to fit in, seal one end, roll the top edge over, put it in, vacuum seal it up, ready for the freezer. But I'd recommend keeping one of the chunks out so you can actually cook it. I love to have this as a breakfast food. I'll slice it about 1/8 of an inch thick, or 3 millimeters for you Canadians out there, and then just fry it up and have it with some eggs or pancakes or whatever you want. But traditionally, if you're in Toronto and you're totally drunk, you would have this as a late night sandwich snack. Maybe order some poutine. Delightful meal. But this is the BG, keeping it square. Make some Peameal bacon. Get a little Canadian in your heart.
Thanks for watching today, and welcome to all our new subscribers. We are finally chugging along, and it's seriously all because of you. So very glad that you're here. We are excited to announce that we will be collaborating with fellow YouTubers, Two Guys in a Cooler, for an upcoming video about sausage making. Check out the link to the trailer in the description of this video. Be sure to subscribe to us, check out our website where you can sign up for our newsletter to find out what cool new footage we just shot for our next season. In our next 2 videos, we're going to take a break from meat and show you how to make a delightful Middle Eastern dish called MUJADDARA and a smooth, fluffy garlic sauce to top it all off. Perfect for vegans, vegetarians, the gluten-free, and the dairy-free. See you next time on Our Final Freezer. What do you think the internet is?
Well, that's a good question.
Where can you find the internet?
Well, you can find the internet on the computer, a phone, an iPad, anything that does like electricity.
Oh.
Like a light bulb.
Oh. So, internet's in the light bulb too?
No.
Okay. Is it in the refrigerator?
No.
Not our refrigerator, but you know it's in some refrigerators. Did you know that?
I know that.
That's crazy.
Cool.